What's going on, my fellow wealth creators? Matty Ice here. I wanted to do a quick breakdown video. So I was watching some training on the Life 180 channel from Chris Kirkpatrick. It's really good. It's talking about like 6 very misleading things that agents will talk about, share, use, whatever to sell IUL. It's definitely a good watch. I will link it down below. Make sure you check it out. But I wanted to do a breakdown of a certain part of the video that just really makes my skin crawl, and it comes down to the indexing strategy and these different proprietary indexes that, it's just, I don't even know how some of this stuff is legal, guys. Like, they're showing 30-year historical averages, but the index has only been around for 8 years. And it's only done 5.99% average since its inception. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, but it's with the benefit of hindsight. It's what you would have done or earned, or what the index would have grown by, your IUL would have grown by had you been in the index. The benefit of hindsight. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And it's very misleading. Now, here's the thing. I say this on my channel all the time, guys. If you understand how these things work and you're okay with stuff like that and you want to roll the dice, you're an adult. You can do whatever you want. I don't think most people would actually do it, though. I don't think most people would actually buy an IUL if they understood the risk involved and how ridiculous some of these things are. It's just, it's insanity to me. And, that's the biggest problem I have with it, is people not knowing what they're actually putting their money into, because it's just so misrepresented, and IUL looks really good on paper, but what's happening in reality? Well, when we actually start to look at these proprietary indexes and their actual performance since inception, okay, it's quite a bit different than the historical average. And whatever. I'm not going to go on too much of a rant. I'll just let's get into the video. It's a screen share video, and I just want to show you some specific things so you're aware of what's happening with these products, like these different indexes, proprietary indexes and whatnot. So you can be careful, and at the end of the day, make an informed decision for yourself. So let's get into it. What's going on, my fellow wealth creators? Matty Ice here. This is just going to be a quick screen share video breaking down some things that I find just very concerning about IUL indexes and just the indexing credit strategy in general with these IULs. So first off, I'm watching a video from Chris Kirkpatrick's Life 180 channel about illustrated rates and how they, IUL agents say, oh, they're super conservative, whatever. And look at all these great indexes that we have, blah, 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 blah. So a couple of things that I want to point out here that I think it's so freaking misleading. I'm not even sure how some of this is legal. So the biggest red flag that I've had so far, looking at these numbers, looking at these different options, was this one right here, the 1-year choice plus JP Morgan Mosaic 2. Okay, and like, agents will actually sell this kind of crap. I want to show you guys. So I looked up this index because look at these crazy numbers here. Okay, the max permitted illustrated rate is 7.15%. Even though, look at this, it has a 30-year historical average of 13.25%. So an agent will say, hey, we're being very conservative with this 7.15% because the 30-year historical average was 13.25%, right? Really? Okay. Well, when we dive into that a little bit more, so number one, there's always some kind of charge rate, spread rate, whatever. All right. So there's a 1% charge rate, which, I mean, that's not a huge deal, but you do need to be aware of this kind of stuff, because like if we look up here as well, the 2-year S&P 500, oh, it's uncapped. Yeah, that's great. There's no cap rate, except there's a 10% spread rate. So that means they're going to take the first 10% of any gains that you get, not to mention it's a 2-year interest crediting strategy. So what happens if you do really good a year and a half in, and then all of a sudden the market tanks and now you lose everything? With an interest crediting strategy, like an indexed interest strategy, you want to be locking in those gains as often as possible, in my opinion anyways, but whatever. Maybe you can make a little bit more with this. Oh, it's uncapped, but they have a 10% spread rate. So you just need to be aware of that stuff. But back to the 30-year historical average and why this is so unbelievably misleading is all we have to do, guys. You see these 2 little asterisks right here? If we look at those 2 little asterisks, what does this say? JP Morgan Mosaic 2, established on December 28th, 2016. Guys, that was 8 years ago. So we're going to bet our financial future on an index, a proprietary volatility index that was made 8 years ago. How are you even able to get a 30-year historical average on an index that's only been around for 8 years? Am I missing something? This is insane. And then when you continue, it says performance is shown is back tested by applying the index strategy to historical financial data when all components are available and was designed with the benefit of hindsight. Let me ask you guys, do you have the benefit of hindsight for the future? So how do you actually know? Like it's great if you're able to get the answers to the question of a test that's already been taken by somebody, and you can look at all the correct answers, like what would have been the correct answers of the test in hindsight, and then you take the test. That'd be great, right? Except that's not reality. So providing a 30-year historical average for an index that's only existed for 8 years, how is that legal? That's insanity. And it even says, back-tested performance is hypothetical, has been provided for information purposes only. It's really just to sell you on this crap. Like, hey, look how great this historical average is right here. 13.25%. Yeah, that's just freaking fantastic. Oh, man. And then the other pushback I get from IUL agents, too. Like, check this out, guys. When you look at the performance of this so far, so first off, so like it says the max illustrated rate, 7.15%. If I drag this over, so I looked this up, guys. Okay. This is, you can see it right here. The JP Morgan Mosaic 2 Index was established December 28th, 2016. So we're looking at the same index here. And they go back, they don't even go back 30 years here. What is that? I mean, pretty close, like we'll call it, I don't know exactly how many years. A little over 20 years, whatever. And here is the average annual growth, 5.99%. So now, wait a minute. I thought over 30 years, this got 13.25%. Now, granted, there's some years missing, but is that really going to increase what I'm seeing here at 5.99% to 13.25% if we add just a few more years here to get like a full 30-year back-tested historical average? Seriously doubt it. So which one is it? That's number one. Number two, if what we're seeing here, and this is directly from Nationwide here. Okay? Like I'm not making this stuff up, guys. I'm looking at the actual data that these companies provide. A lot of this is just made up fake data. But, all right, 5.99% is what it averaged over this particular time frame. So why is the max illustrated rate at 7.15% if the index is only doing 5.99%? This is the pushback I get on that. Oh, well, look at the participation rate. Yeah. 240% participation rate. That sounds really good, right, guys? Okay. Are you guaranteed to be locked in at that 240% participation rate for the life of the policy? If so, maybe that could be good. I wouldn't argue that. I still wouldn't buy it. I still stay far away from IUL. But and not to mention, I don't want to roll the dice with my financial future on an index that was made only 8 years ago. That's just a joke. Okay, but okay, 240%. Here's what it says right here. 100% guarantee. What that means is that's the lowest they can go. That means they can drop your participation rate from 240% to 100%. What does that do? Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. That's probably a very extreme worst case scenario. What if they drop it to 200%? What if they drop it to 150? Who knows? The cap rates, participation rates, all this stuff changes all the time, guys. Not all the time. Frequently enough to be concerned about it. And you should ask your agent that question. Ask the company that question. How many times has this participation rate changed for previous policyholders? Ask them. See what they say. Because if they drop this participation rate, that has a massive impact on the long-term performance of your policy. And what was illustrated to you is not likely going to happen. I mean, assuming you decide to use a stupid index like this, because look at how good that historical average rate of return looks. Yeah. If I went up to you and I said, hey, I've got a financial product here that over the last 30 years, this is what it would have done, but it's only been around for 8 years. You would probably laugh in my face if I told you to put your money into something like that. So what's different about this, guys? This is just insanity. So I bring this up because I just want you guys to be really careful. I really just can't stand this stuff. Like, it's so misleading. Like, IUL, in my opinion, is bad enough as is. But when you start adding these stupid proprietary volatility indexes, and then you have to rely on the fact that the participation rate doesn't change and spread rates don't change, the index is actually going to do what it's historically supposed to do, even though it's only been around for 8 years. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing here? This is absolutely ridiculous. So I wanted to bring this to your attention so that, again, at the end of the day, I just want you guys to know what you're putting your money into, what you're actually looking at here. Get the facts, understand how these things work, what are the things that can be changed, what are the things that can go wrong, and then so that way you can make an informed decision. And if you're anything like me, once you started to understand this kind of stuff, it's like, I don't want anything to do with this. I work too hard for my money. I care too much about my future to roll the dice on trash like this. So that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Leave some feedback, some comments, questions down below. I'd love to hear what's on your mind about this and how you feel about it. I think it's an absolute joke, but maybe you have some different thoughts that might change my mind. I don't know. But either way, I hope you guys are crushing it, and I will talk to you in the next one. To your success. Matty Ice is out.